Welcome to The Explainer. We are in the middle of one of the wildest shifts in tech right now. This idea that truly powerful AI is moving from these faraway, mysterious data centers right onto the computer sitting on your desk.
For years, the whole story of AI was a cloud story, right? The biggest, baddest models lived on these massive server farms, owned by just a handful of tech giants. You wanted access? You needed an internet connection and a credit card.
Well, that's all changing. The game is completely flipping on its head, thanks to this absolute explosion in open source models, which are now good enough to go toe-to-toe with the big proprietary systems. The AI revolution is finally coming home. It's becoming a local thing.
Which leads us to the billion-dollar question, doesn't it? Is your machine actually ready for this fight? Can your good old desktop or laptop really handle an AI with hundreds of billions of parameters? Let's dive in and find out.
So make no mistake, this isn't just some niche trend for tech nerds. Moving AI locally is a fundamental power shift. It's about putting you, the user, back in the driver's seat.
And the benefits are huge, as sources like AI Radar are constantly pointing out. You get total data privacy. Your stuff never leaves your computer. You get to say goodbye to those endless paper token subscription fees. You can work completely offline. It's super fast with almost no lag. And you get total control to tweak and customize these models however you want.
But to get that privacy, to get that speed and control, you gotta have the right hardware. And that brings us to the main event, folks. We've got two very different, very powerful philosophies clashing for dominance right there on your desktop.
In this corner, representing Team Green, we have NVIDIA. Their whole game is about raw, unadulterated brute force GPU power. And in the other corner, we've got Apple Silicon playing a completely different game, championing this elegant, super-efficient, unified memory architecture. Now, NVIDIA is the undisputed heavyweight champ when it comes to raw speed. These cards are built for pure computational horsepower. They just shred through smaller models, thanks to decades of work on stuff like CUDA. But it's got a glass jaw, and that's its Achilles heel, a serious lack of VRAM and an incredible thirst for power.
Apple Silicon, on the other hand, is the marathon runner. It's the master of efficiency, barely sipping power while giving you access to this colossal pool of memory. This lets it handle gigantic models that would make a normal GPU just fall over. The trade-off? It can't always match NVIDIA's pure sprinting speed, especially with those smaller models.
Okay, so before we get to the actual showdown, we need to lay down the rules of the game. There are three key tech terms you've absolutely got to get your head around to understand what's happening here. First, and honestly the most important one, is VRAM, video RAM. Think of it like the AI's playground. If the playground is too small, the AI can't even get out and play. It's not about being slow, it just won't run. It's a hard wall. This is the ultimate bottleneck, end of story. Next up, parameters. This is basically the size of the AI's brain, its knowledge base, and we measure it in billions. So yeah, a model with 70 billion parameters is probably going to be a lot smarter than one with 7 billion. But that bigger brain needs a much, much bigger playground to run around in.
And finally, this is the secret weapon. This is what makes all of this even possible on our machines: quantization. It's this super clever compression trick. It's like a shrinking ray for AI models that just massively reduces their size and how much memory they need, usually without hurting the quality too much.
And here's a perfect example of that magic in action. Look at a monster model like Llama 4 Maverick, 402 billion parameters. Normally, that would need an insane 422 gigabytes of memory. Impossible, right? Well, after you quantize it, it shrinks down to a much more, manageable 122 gigs. Still massive, but it's not science fiction anymore.
All right, the stage is set. We know the rules. It's time for the main event. Let's see how our contenders, Team NVIDIA and Team Apple, actually perform when we put them head-to-head.
First things first, let's talk about the price of admission. AI Radar put together this great analysis, and it shows you exactly what it costs in VRAM to even get in the game. You can see an 8 billion parameter model. Yeah, a decent mid-range graphics card can handle that. But look what happens when you jump to 30 billion. You're already hitting the ceiling of the best consumer cards on the market.
Okay, round one, raw speed. We measure this in tokens per second. A token is just a piece of a word. It's how the AI thinks. So more tokens per second means you get a much faster, snappier conversation. And when you're running a smaller model that fits comfortably in its memory, NVIDIA's beastly RTX 5090 is an absolute monster. It's cranking out over 200 tokens a second. That's just pure, unfiltered speed.
But then, round two, efficiency. And this is where Apple lands a devastating haymaker. The Mac Studio is just humming along using less than 100 watts. Meanwhile, the RTX 5090 is chugging almost 600 watts. I mean, that's the difference between powering a light bulb and running a small space heater under your desk.
And now the final and I think most important round, capacity. Because as we said, that memory playground is everything. NVIDIA's top consumer card, the mighty RTX 5090, it taps out at 32 gigabytes of VRAM, which is a lot, but it's a hard ceiling.
And this is the knockout blow. This is where the whole duel is decided. A maxed out Mac Studio with the M5 Ultra chip, it can have a frankly mind-boggling 512 gigabytes of unified memory. That's 16 times more than the NVIDIA card. We're not talking about a slight edge here. This is a completely different universe.
So, who wins? Who is the champion for your desktop? Well, the real answer is, it depends on what kind of fight you're getting into.
Here's the final scorecard. Look, if all you care about is the absolute fastest chat experience with smaller models, NVIDIA is your winner, hands down. But if you want to run the truly massive, state-of-the-art, future-proof models, the 100 billion plus parameter giants, then the ridiculous memory capacity of the Mac Studio is just in a league of its own. It's unbeatable. And you know, the best part is that getting started is so much easier than you think. You can forget about complicated setups. There are tools like Ollama, where you can literally download and run a crazy powerful model with one single line in your terminal. Or if you're not a command line person, something like LM Studio gives you this beautiful, polished app to just browse, download, and start chatting in minutes. Seriously, you can be up and running in the time it takes to make a cup of coffee.
Which really just leaves us with one final, pretty exciting thought. For the first time ever, the kind of insane AI power that used to belong only to tech giants can now live on your machine, under your control. So the question isn't really if you can run a superintelligence on your desktop anymore. The real question is, what are you going to build with it?